Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Judy Nathans,
And I'm Robert Winters.
and we've been all over the map.
That's right. We're
It all comes back to elections.
cruising the
and-
country.
Yeah.
Right. But
And
let's take it right back locally here.
Back
for
locally,
starters.
just some visuals.
Just a bit here, because Judy went on a field trip,
Right, I went on a field
a
trip to
research
the
research mission.
right that DPW had for the interested parties, the Greater Lawrence Sanitary District, which is where our food waste is going. And
Yes.
there was a good meeting, October 9th, a committee meeting to focus on zero waste, and there were several speakers talking about our composting, which is really anaerobic digestion, and some of the issues raised by, well, is it really, it's mixed with sewer, whatever. So anyway, there was a tour. I went on it. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of photos, but we can show.
We can do a little bit here.
And the first thing you should know is that, the Greater Lawrence Wastewater Treatment Facility, if you're familiar with Deer Island, which has eggshells, this is in the ground. So this is in ground. It's a different way.
The big, they look like big eggs you see on the skyline
so
are
this
actually
is-
what they call
they're sort of-
secondary digesters.
Right, so these are underground, and it's a different. Anyway, so we can't enlarge this, but if you see this, we're here. This is the tube, and back here the sign says food waste, and I can't read the rest of it. But anyway, when our tankers come from the place in Charlestown, which is where our food scraps go, which
in
is run by
Charlestown,
Waste Management.
they grind
right.
it up and make a slurry out of that?
Yeah, it's the way I'd like to tell people, think of a giant garbage disposal.
Right.
Because the stuff then, first it gets, kind of separated into small bits, and then it gets fed into this giant garbage disposal.
Right.
And
then
in a
it's
tanker.
And it's trucked up
And
to
it,
here.
yeah, I think only once a week, and then this tube connects to the tanker, and it goes and it goes down below here. But
Right.
anyway, this next photo, this is actually back at this is what's in that tube.
Good.
I know, it looks like a kale smoothie, actually.
Doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does, because I have seen kale smoothies.
I'll pass, thank you very much. Right?
I know.
Right.
So this is what
You know,
comes
the thing-
out of that.
The fact
yeah.
that he's got it in that container that looks like it came
It's a
off-
wearing blender.
Like a blender.
I know. I think they
Right.
purposely did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So let me see what this is just for my iPhone. They're not very good. I'm sure that. All right. Now this is actually at the Greater Lawrence facility. This is in the
So this is
plant.
down under, yeah.
And this man is Jamie Ecker, who is the basically runs the waste management part of this at Save That Stuff. He's hired by Waste Management. He's excellent, and he came with us to the tour of the Greater, and explaining the different things. And so it was just great.
So they
I love
actually-
machines. I love equipment.
Yeah. I love
yeah.
going on these tours
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
So they do is digestion, and then
They
the
do
product comes
digestion,
out.
and then they also all these things, and then
So the products are the extract.
right, and then the sludge part, which I know is because they are getting this from the communities around Greater Lawrence. Okay, this
Right.
is sewer sludge, whatever. And the big argument was about, well, wait a minute, this is being made into something that isn't good for the, for soils, which is but this is okay. This is the byproduct. Let me explain. So there's energy produced from all of this. And the food waste actually adds to the richness of this energy, and that powers this plant. And eventually they hope to then take off some of their excess energy produced and to the grid.
Yeah.
Okay, so this product here, these are the pellets. Was the point of contention at the hearing.
So it's a combination. It's derived
this is
from
basically
combination
from
of sewage sludge and food
yeah,
waste.
but this is basically the leftover. Obviously, it's it's a Class A. What did we call it? I think I mentioned to you. It's a Class A It meets Class A standards for federal,
Right.
whatever, biosolids. And this is sold to landscapers and to local farms.
Right. So when you pelletize, I remember
Yeah.
for a time when MWRA
This
was
is dried at very high temperatures
right.
to get that.
So
yeah.
they produce a pelletized product.
Who does?
It was actually out of MWRA when it goes through the sludge, but the thing is,
Oh yeah, it's similar to what's
bagged
Deer
and
Island.
sold as,
Yes.
under the name. I don't know what it's called these days, but it was called
I-
Bay State Organic.
Exactly. I think that
Right.
still is.
The problem with that was that there were some trace amount of, more than trace amount of contaminant because of bad connections into the sewer system. So the MWA was very aggressively trying to identify.
Do you know when that was?
Industrial. This was 20-something years ago.
Oh my God!
And
Wait,
it
they were
was-
selling that 20 years ago?
Yeah, I don't know how many customers they had, but they gave me like about 10 sacks of it.
Oh, geez, because they don't see. Deer Island would have been a great place for us to go,
Right.
but Winthrop did not want more trucks going to their
Yeah.
facility because they have an extra digester, and that's what the state wanted because
Yeah.
that would be a great solution for Boston to expand organic recovery. But that's still kind of in the works. But because this product is mixed with the food waste, it's richer.
Yeah.
Have richer nutrients. So, I don't know. I was, if people are more interested in this, they should look at that committee report. It's got all the attachments from October 9th on the city council website. But
I would just
Yeah.
speak more generally and just
Yeah.
say that, back when I was the Cambridge Recycling Hotline back in the early days.
when you were the compost man,
And I was the compost man, right,
Yeah.
long before all of this stuff. And the thing is that there are a lot of people who feel good about putting out things in a blue bin or a toter or now
Yeah.
a green container.
yeah.
But it's really a good idea to actually educate yourself a little bit about
The whole
where it all
process.
goes,
Also, look at the life cycle of these things.
right?
Just because something says it's biodegradable doesn't mean it's going to biodegrade or it's compostable. That's the
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
my
And,
thing,
The
yeah.
thing is, I think we have systems in place that are okay,
Mm-hmm.
but there probably are some improvements that could happen. Industries have to be developed to find end markets for the products, but
That's right.
that
I mean,
that would be the ultimate sort of
the bottom line is that we live in an urban area and that this is the best way to get it out of the waste stream versus
Right.
it'd be great if there was enough farms that we could get to without using a lot of energy to get it to where it can be compost. But there's problems at those places too.
Sure.
Stuff doesn't always break down.
right.
And
So this is on the organic side, which is sort
Right.
of the new kid on the block for Cambridge.
anaerobic digestion.
But the thing
Yeah.
is that we're still recycling the glass and the aluminum and the steel and the paper.
Right, but
et
not,
cetera.
but that's also, there was Amy Perlmutter, who I think I mentioned this last time, spoke at that hearing too, and that there are new restrictions because of China not taking our stuff.
Right.
So we are really focusing on, please don't put plastic bags in, don't put hangers,
Right.
don't put this stuff. And there'll be probably some other things you shouldn't be putting in, but they haven't told us that
Yeah,
yet.
well, it's evolving. But the thing is,
evolving.
ultimately, I think, if you're, being a good citizen is not only putting material in it, but also educating yourself as to
Right.
what actually happens. Because
Yeah.
it's not just a matter of is it recycled, is it being recycled well?
Right,
So-
and not all things, right, are.
Right. So if it's
yeah.
just the lowest possible end market use,
Yeah.
maybe we can do a little bit better. But that's
Yeah.
not something we have a
I
lot
mean,
of control over.
Basically, the industry just likes the ones and twos to be truthful
Yeah,
and
yeah.
cardboard, but yeah.
Aluminum is always good.
Aluminum tin, yeah.
Glass.
Glass is questionable, although
questionable. But
one glass factory that we had closed down. But other things are, and you know what's good about all this is that there's some mills that are reopening.
That's right.
We're starting pulp mills
yeah.
so that we can. Which
There's
is what we should have been doing all
right.
along.
So there's a place
Yeah.
for entrepreneurs to sort of come up
Oh
with
yeah,
better
and especially
solutions.
around here.
And I think
yeah.
I said maybe on a previous show, I said, so you MIT students.
Are you kidding? They're doing so much.
Yes.
Really.
So I want you folks,
are.
this is your homework assignment. I want you
Yeah.
to go out there and save the world.
There is.
To make things right.
They are.
So.
Okay, so let's get back
All right.
to
So-
other Cambridge related things.
Again, as we were saying earlier in the last half hour, come November, it's a funny thing. Once one election passes, then people start actually focusing on other things that are actually election related. So I wasn't being contacted particularly about ranked choice voting and proportional representation, even though, believe me, I get called all the time. I'm
You
like
went
the
from
guy.
Mr. Compost Man to
elections guy, right?
Right.
But it was kind of interesting how in like this rapid week, so I have one person, a mutual friend of ours actually with a fair vote, who's
right.
also working with
Howie.
the Voter Choice Massachusetts, who are promoting ranked choice voting. So
Right.
we met over the weekend, just trying to work up some good, clear information about Cambridge, which will be hopefully useful for the municipal election next year, but also just as, because people, when they're trying to promote this statewide, a lot of eyes go back to Cambridge and say, wait, isn't that system they're using in Cambridge?
Yeah.
And it's
So
best
that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, we're
because-
trying to have
yeah.
to give the good facts
Okay.
about it, right? So I also then got a call from a Harvard Crimson reporter who interviewed me yesterday
Oh.
about ranked choice voting.
Oh, Really? When is that going to be in the
right?
article? Or-
Probably within a day or two.
Okay.
And there was a group of youngsters at Harvard who actually are promoting an alternative voting system. They actually are implementing it
Oh,
for
you
Harvard
mentioned this on your
student
web. Yeah,
government
what was that
elections.
about? Yeah.
Right, so it's what they call a modified board account, but it also uses ranked choice ballots. So,
Huh.
so then they said, well, we're going to have a forum next Monday at the Democracy Center, which is 45 Mount Auburn Street. And they said, we'd like you to be a panelist.
Oh, so that's separate from the Friday thing.
It's separate from the Friday
Okay.
thing. So I'm also doing the seminar talk at MIT on this will be part of the topic here. So, man, when it rains, it pours.
Well, the
You know.
Friday thing is just for MIT students?
It's for our students, actually, our specific students in the program I work in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically about civics and political
Oh, all right.
involvement.
Okay.
You know, it's a bit of a razz.
But the
you know,
Monday
razz-
thing, is that open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Is that
so
on
come
your
by.
website? The
Not yet, but I'll
Okay.
probably put something in
so
there.
it's Monday,
today.
but there's a city council
Monday,
meeting.
right? And just so you know
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is there was you know, Cambridge uses what they call single transferable vote proportional representation for its city council and school committee elections, and they've been using it since 1941. And it's the one city in the country who's used it continuously for 80 years. This will be like we're coming up on the 80th year.
We are the only city in the country that's continuously
Used it. There were places like New York City used it. A lot
Why,
of cities.
why don't we make more of a thing of that?
Well, you know, the thing is that in various places where it was utilized, it was pushed away because, like in New York City, 2 communists were elected to
So
their
people
city
didn't like it
council.
because it was too fair.
Yeah, well, and the great right. Well, you're talking about New York City during
Yeah,
the rise of the labor
sure.
unions.
Oh, right.
You know, urban
Yeah.
situation, depression. People were out of work. You know,
Yeah.
so there were. You know, it wasn't at all surprising that 2 out of 13 people elected might
A lot
actually
of people
be
were communists.
hard left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how it was. But then, so that led to, you know, people trying to get rid of the system. And then some years later, it was in fact, they tossed it in New York City. But the funny thing is that by the time they tossed, there were no more communists on the city council. It was a very passing thing. But didn't matter, the rhetoric was all out there. Anyway, so they lost it. Cleveland, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, several places in Colorado used it.
Wow.
Several places. I think
Santa
it was up.
Monica, don't they?
No.
No,
But
no,
we had-
nobody in California.
There were actually 13 cities and towns in Massachusetts that used it or adopted it. And then one by one, they all kind of went away. And eventually the state legislature said no more, but Cambridge has been grandfathered in. And, you know, and that might have been the end of the story. We would have just been this one lonely little place sort of holding on, you know.
Yeah.
But then what happened, actually, I think it really perked up in the 1990s, and then the Bush-Gore controversy got everybody thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
voting methods and voting machines and whatever. And then there was a revival of people's interest in voting with ranked choice ballot, where
Right.
you rank your candidates.
So if your candidate didn't get in, those votes though could go to your second candidate.
Well, see, it
like you would
depends.
rank your candidates
Right, so-
instead of just choosing one.
Right.
Is
So
that it?
right now the thing is in Cambridge, it's
Well, you do have more
it's
than-
transferable votes. So
Wow.
you know, so
okay.
if your number one choice doesn't get elected, that ballot could then go to the second choice, etc.
But wouldn't that only apply to primaries, really, where you might have more
Well,
than 2 candidates running?
Well, the thing is that there's a difference between using ranked choice ballots to elect one person.
Right.
Once upon a time, people were calling that instant runoff voting,
Okay.
IRV. And in most of the implementations that are being promoted, both in Massachusetts and elsewhere, that's what they're talking about, is ranked choice voting. In the state of Maine, right now.
They just had
actually.
election.
Yep, actually,
Yeah.
right now, they're using this for everything but the governor's race.
Right.
But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And there is actually the second House district in Maine where Bruce Poliquin has 46.2%, Jared Golden has 45.5%, and then there's a couple other candidates with 5.8 and 2.4%.
Oh, you have it right here, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that
So what's going to happen there?
because the voters did the people's veto and to approve and maintain ranked choice voting in Maine, a lot of eyes are now looking to Maine because right now, as we speak, they're taking the ballots from those candidates that lost and they're transferring them to secondary
Oh.
preferences, very similar to the way we do it in Cambridge.
Oh, I see. So,
And then they're going to eliminate.
well, what's the voter There's
William
only like a
Hauer.
2,000 something difference
But it's
between
enough.
the two top
But
two,
it's
right?
But
yeah.
there's one candidate with 5.8% of the ballots, and the other one with 2.4%. Those together, it's like 8%.
All right,
of
but
the
I'm
ballots.
confused.
They
Okay.
That could flip it from.
All right, but I'm
Okay.
confused, Robert. Do you mean, but when people
Okay,
voted,
let's
they
take
only
a peek
voted
here.
for one person, though,
Here
right?
we are. They voted for no. It's a ranked choice ballot.
Oh, so they actually had to
Name-
list their
yeah,
preferences.
So they listed their preference.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. Okay.
So there are on
Right.
those Bond and Hauer.
Those are going to be
Those will be
redistributed
redistributed to secondary
based on
preferences.
whoever they put.
And
Okay.
then the relatively narrow margin of it's only
Yeah.
a couple of thousand votes
Right.
between Poliquin and
Right.
Golden.
Yeah.
Could be preserved, could widen, or it could go the other way.
So when will that be done?
It's
Do you
happening
know?
right now. I don't
Wow.
know. I actually been checking
The internet, yeah.
the internets to go and see how that's heading.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, already Poliquin, who's currently ahead, if it was a plurality election, he'd be elected.
Now, he's an incumbent.
He's an
Do you know how
incumbent,
long
right?
he has served?
No, I don't. But the thing is already he's saying, well, if this was any kind of real election, this would all be over, and I'd be elected.
At 46%? I don't
Well,
think so.
I know, but see, that's the thing, is that if you're
It's not
ahead
right.
in a plurality sense,
Yeah.
then you hate ranked choice voting if you think it might actually
See,
overturn
this is so
the
much more
winning.
fair because people
is. It is
people
so
have
much
more
more
of a
fair.
say in who gets
Much
to
more
be
of a
there.
say.
You have more of a choice.
Right, so it's now
Yeah.
leading to editorials and
Yeah,
opinion pieces
everything.
in the New York Times and all across the country where people say,
Which
well,
is-
you know, this is pretty good.
It's actually been going on for a while, but now it's really hot news,
Yeah,
right?
and now I think it was in New York Times, was it yesterday or the day before, there was even an editorial that said, you know, we got to change the way we do Congress to have multi-member districts
Yeah.
elected using ranked choice balloting,
Wow.
you know, which is a pretty radical idea.
How
but,
about the Electoral College?
well, that's,
to me,
that's another issue.
That,
yes.
to me, is the real bugaboo.
Right,
When
but
you-
see, but that's in the election.
How about having
that's
two
one rather
senators for a
pivotal
state that
election.
has less than 500,000 people? Come on.
You know, it's the great compromise.
So then you have to fraction, two of those states do it. They divide their electoral votes. That would be a
I
help.
think it's Maine and
Maine and Colorado.
Is it
Somebody-
Colorado? I thought it
Nevada.
was Nebraska or something.
One of those.
But anyway, so
yeah.
you know, I do get a kick out of the fact that elections come, people get either angry or happy on the election outcomes, but then they stop talking about the mechanics of actually how
I don't think they're
elections
stopping
happen.
talking about this one because people are talking about why aren't we have uniform voting methods? Like we have these machines that don't have
I know,
paper
I know.
backups.
But I'll give
You
you
know,
one
yeah.
example is after the Republican nomination for president in 2016, where the candidate with the highest unfavorability
Got it.
ratings
Yeah.
was the nominee.
Yeah.
So then Mr.
Woo!
Trump was elected ultimately. But the thing is, as soon as the election was over, how many people continued to talk about the mechanics of how the
True.
nomination process happens?
Well, he was so
They dropped it
overwhelming
like a hot potato.
that that's all you could talk about.
Right, but the thing
Is
is,
how
that
did this
as a
happen?
country, I think
Yeah.
it's something we need
No,
to
you're
talk
right.
about.
Absolutely.
Is thinking through about the machinery that
Right.
actually elects people, or
Right.
brings up nominees. Even bigger question is why where are the statesmen? Right? Why aren't
Yeah.
the best people even choosing to become candidates in some
Well,
settings?
I think this year we did have some. I mean,
We had some better
there was a real
candidates.
movement by
There is,
I don't know,
yeah, so
Democrats,
I'm-
somebody that got some really great. Do you know
Yeah.
that 6 of the women that are in Congress are veterans?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that
That's
was
just
pretty.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
good politics because
Yeah.
that means
They
you're
did
going
their
to have an
homework.
appeal, going to cross some of the usual party distinctions, right? You don't want to have a candidate who is so easily kind of categorized. Oh, he or she is just a hard left, this or that. You know, if the person happens to be a veteran, then a lot of veterans will say, yeah, but she's okay.
Yes.
You know, and that's kind of how you win elections.
Yeah.
Just appealing to the zealots on one side or the other is not always the best way to do it. So, anyway, just to bring it back locally here, so there's these few folks up in Harvard are going to change their system. They're actually doing it for their student government elections. So they invited me to be a panelist next week
Nice.
about this. So I said, well, let me go do a little homework here, right? Because my understanding is that they would love to actually take it on the road and try and propose a change for how Cambridge does its elections.
Well, why do we need to change?
I don't think we do need to change, but the thing is, this is their desire, not mine.
How would it be different?
Well, okay, so we have transferable votes. Their
Yeah.
system doesn't have any transferable votes. Their
It's
system
just-
is basically a scoring system, which I'm not even sure if it's constitutional. Let
Okay.
me be clear about that. But they have some law professor who's going to be one of the panelists, so we'll ask him, right? But their system basically involves a sort of it's not like where you choose the most valuable player award or something like that, where,
Oh, where people vote on the...
right, so if you get a number 1 vote, it counts for 1 point.
Yeah.
And if you get a number 2, their system says that counts for half a point.
Oh, okay,
A
so
number
they're
3 gets a
dividing
third,
the vote in
and then
some
a
way.
quarter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
Oh,
right?
that sounds complicated.
It's very easy to tabulate, though,
True.
right? And it's certainly independent of ballot order, which is one of the bugaboos about Cambridge's
Oh,
system.
good point.
We have that little
Right.
annoyance about it,
Right,
which
you
is,
have to
which
keep
is
changing
curable,
that, yeah.
right? So the thing, anyway, so they have this notion that they want to do it for Cambridge elections. So what I actually did, I don't know that we need to necessarily show all of it here, but I actually ran the numbers. I actually took the ballot data because I am the keeper of the data.
Where would that be? Just,
Actually, you can grab, yeah, that one would work.
This one?
Yeah, sure. All right, so what I did was I did a comparison of Cambridge's system and the proposal that the Harvard kids are proposing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so basically I took the 2009, 11, 13, 15, 2017 city council. I also did it for school committee races, just to see if there would have been the same people
so
elected.
you using this system that they just told you?
I did a little bit of both. So actually, let me just
So-
sort of show
okay,
you here. So,
so
for
what is
example, in
this now?
2009,
Okay,
right, what you see there in the first column next to all the candidates' names is their system, the scores they would get. So this is
this
ranked,
is the alternative system.
right, so this is ranked in order, in their order
Okay.
of scoring. The next column shows the number of number 1 votes. So
That
if
they
we were-
actually got.
Right, so if we were a plurality election, then you would get different winners based on that.
Right.
By the way, this is the election where Marjorie Decker was a write-in candidate.
Ah,
Okay, so then so I have here in the third column is their ranking by number 1 votes.
yeah,
The next column is the order in which they were elected under Cambridge's rules.
okay.
And then on the far column is just the ranking according to the Harvard scheme. Right.
So there's a change, they
There
they
is a
go up.
change,
So what's the
right?
change? I'm not
So
quite
in
sure I
this,
see
in this
it.
here, what you see here in this election here, this is
Yeah.
the one where Larry Ward ran as a he had been there as a vacancy refill, so
Oh,
he was
right.
now an incumbent
Right.
running. So under the Harvard system, Larry wins, right?
Huh.
But Leland Chung, who was the new bright star who squeaked in that year,
He's
he-
out.
he doesn't even finish in the top
Now
10.
that's interesting.
Right. So from this, and I could show it, it's actually borne out in some of the other years
Well,
as well.
which kind of corresponds that he got the least amount of number 1 votes.
Right,
somehow.
but the thing is
Yeah.
that I'll show you when,
Okay.
in the 2013 election,
All
and
right.
a similar phenomenon happens here. So based on this, I looked at that and said, well,
Yeah.
what is it, so obviously if it was based on, well, are minority candidates favored or disfavored?
Yeah.
It's not so clear.
Okay.
But what is, I think, I can say is that incumbents are favored under their system. So
Huh.
Larry was already on the council, so he
I
had that
see. So
extra name
incumbents are
recognition.
favored. Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense. Okay.
Whereas the challengers were disfavored. So let's
All
scroll.
right.
Let's click over to the next one.
Well, is it down
Just scroll
below?
down. Yeah,
Oh,
scroll
okay.
down to 2011. All right. Now
Okay.
here's an election where, in fact, the same people are elected. All
Hmm.
right. Okay. I mean, there's a little bit of change in order. So in fact, there was no real change. Okay. So you
Right.
could argue, well, if you switch to this this scoring system versus our Cambridge's PR system, it would be the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's go to 2013, which I think is actually quite telling. So in 2013, now this is the election in which both Ken Reeves and Minka van Busekum lost.
They
In
did?
f-
In
yes,
2013?
yes, in
Oh.
favor of Nadim Mazen and Dennis Carlone. Now, under the Harvard system, incumbents, Minka van Busekum and Ken Reeves,
They're in.
win,
Yeah.
and the newcomers, Mazen
out.
and Carlone, are out.
So I don't think their system's good then. It doesn't.
Well,
it favors incumbents.
I mean, I
don't
think
know,
I
that's
will make
weird.
the case that if
Yeah.
there's one measurable thing, because one of the
Yeah.
things you got to understand when you try and modify an election system is that for the most part, you're going to get the same people elected,
Right.
except in the margins, but the margins are important,
Yeah.
right? It's like the last two or three people elected. That's really where the balance of power and whatever is often determined, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to 2015 city council election, right? And here we also have a change. In this one here, under their system, Dennis Carlone is out, even though he was the 9th person elected. And Dennis Benzan, who was an incumbent, actually retains his seat.
Interesting.
All right? So that's a change. And now let's go to the very last one.
This is the latest one,
last
right?
one. So in 2017...
You had a lot of empty seats. I mean, not empty, you had vacant seats.
Right, but now in 2017, we end up actually having exactly the same 9 people elected. So, I mean, we'll see what happens at this.
What do you mean
forum.
exactly the same? There's 4 new people.
No, right, but the thing is, the Harvard kids system and Cambridge's system elected the same 9 people.
Well, maybe because those open seats.
Because there were open seats.
Yeah.
And you know, for whatever reason, you end up with
The rank is a little different.
It's
Like
a little
they
bit
have,
different, yeah.
Dennis comes in 8 with our system, and he comes in 6th. And who comes in 8th? Tim Toomey. Well, that's interesting.
by
And
theirs,
Kelly is the last.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just switch it
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I like- that's
Now I'll say
interesting.
though, you know, no time to actually show it here right now, but it's
Yeah.
actually on the info page here. I
Yeah.
actually did it for school committee, and there was one election where Richard Harding was not only elected in our count, and he was actually the 2nd person elected out of 6 members of the school committee.
Which year was that?
I think it's either 2009 or 2011. But in that one, I don't know if we have time for it, but you can try. But the thing is in
right.
that one, even though he's the 2nd person elected in the Cambridge system, under the Harvard system, he's not elected at all.
Wow.
So that's a really radical change. So anyway.
Oh yeah, Richard Harding. There it is.
Yeah. So anyway,
I don't like
I'm
it.
loaded for bear for the forum on Monday. Here.
Yeah. Are you
so
bringing your ammunition
I'm
here?
bringing my ammunition.
Okay,
and,
cool.
And I'm not doing it to be a jerk.
So this is
about
next Monday.
This is coming Monday.
So
at
you're not going to go to the
Marcus
city
Center.
council meeting,
I
and
might-
I
I
have
might
something
get
else
the-
to do. So I'll watch it on Tuesday, so we
Yeah,
can sort
if you
of
get the
comment on
overlay,
it.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, so you know we're back in season again. We'll
Yeah.
be talking PR and
Oh, boy.
STV and everything for quite a while to come. So.
Okay.
So anyway, see you next week.
Is it Thanksgiving yet? No, next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
on Cambridge Inside Out.
Bye.